Good luck.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lat Mackey, and this is Sequence Break, a podcast that features conversations with speedrunners, developers, content creators, and everything in between. Thank you so much for being here, and please welcome Argick. How you doing, Argick?
Hello, I am great. Thank you very much. How you all doing? It is early on a Thursday morning. I had to think what day it was there. I've been too absorbed in Final Fantasy Endwalker to keep track.
Well, let me say just thank you so much right off the bat for waking up early. I'm up late, figuring out time zones from California to Scotland. I'm glad that there's Google and stuff that I can just type it in to figure out what the heck to say.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, definitely. It's like, and which time zone are you in? Is it Central, Mountain, Eastern, or somewhere else? It's like, I don't know, let's find out.
It seems like we've talked about this because, speedrunning is such an international thing that we do have to kind of figure these things out. And East Coast seems to be kind of the definitive, the East Coast time. Everyone can relate to that somehow. But even that doesn't make always, there's all time zones. There's not a friendly time zone for everyone. So, here we are.
No, and unfortunately, no, there's always someone who's going to miss out, which is a shame. But yeah, I kind of default to Eastern myself. It's like, yo, you live in Scotland. That's like GMT. It's like, you would think I'd use that. No, most of the time, anybody I'm interacting with is somewhere in Eastern time. So it's like, I've just got to remember 5-hour time difference. That's it.
There you go. Right. +5. Perfect. Well, first things first, let's get started a little bit and talk about a little bit about your start in gaming. What was like some of the first games that you played and what got you interested in gaming in the first place?
So for me, it was back when I was a kid. It was back when I was about 3 years old. It's my mum that got me back into gaming. I originally started playing her Sega Mega Drive. It was in the area that I was living in at the time. It wasn't the best area for kids, unfortunately. It was a very dodgy area is the best way to describe it. So I spent most of my time inside playing video games unless I was out in school and whatnot. So for me, it was a case of playing games like Mega Bomberman, Micro Machines, and of course, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was the first Sonic game I ever played. And at that point, I just fell in love. I fell in love with gaming. I enjoyed it. And just going on through the years, my mom and my dad would get me one of the consoles that came out. It was never on the latest console. I was always like a generation behind. But to me, that didn't matter. I just loved playing video games. So it's like I had a Mega Drive, and then we moved on to the N64. They got the PlayStation. They got that for Crash Team Racing is the one that I fondly remember my mum playing a lot. To put a bit of time, a better of a time frame on it, we would be playing Crash Team Racing, and she would be listening to Tragedy by Steps in the background. So that gives you a bit of a time zone. Like, oh, okay, now we know what time that was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like doing that, and obviously I had the N64, so I was playing my games like my Lilac Wars, your Mario 64s, your Zeldas, and whatnot. And just through the years, it was a case of I loved gaming, and I got more and more into it to the point where I consider gaming to be my ultimate hobby. It's like, yo, what's your hobby? Video games. I love everything about them. I love playing them. I love reading about them. I love listening to their music. Like you can see behind me, I have a collection of stuff. So that's what I do. I am massive nerd when it comes to that. And eventually started to get a job as I got older. It's like got a part-time job. It's like, where'd my money go? Went into video games. So I got myself like my PS2s, my PS3s, the Xboxes, the Wii's, and the Wii U's, until now where it's like, no, if I want to buy something for gaming, I'm going to do gaming. And even now, I got into speedrunning, I got into streaming. It's like, yes, this is what I like to do.
No other better profession than perhaps playing video games full time. This is so cool. Okay, great. So you're instantly hooked. I'm curious, were you, were you able to keep some of these things that you had as a kid growing up or throughout your collection? I know as collectors, I've got a little bit of a collection, but sadly I don't have a lot of my childhood games. And I'm wondering, were you the type that held on to those, or is this something you've put together as time has gone by?
A bit of both, but I do still have my original consoles. I have that same Mega Drive, too, that little box, and it has those original games in it as well. So I was fortunate enough that I was able to keep a hold of them. Growing up, I am the eldest of two, and unfortunately, as I got older, I learned to respect my games and keep them all good and all that. Siblings did not. So I would often come home to, there's a game case on the floor. Is the game in it? Of course it's not. Where's the game? I don't know. So a few of them did go missing, or a few of them ended up being damaged to the point where they're unusable. But a lot of my stuff, like the Sega stuff, that is just original. I still have the original N64 that we got. We managed to get, back in the day, it was a pre-owned Pokemon Stadium N64 special edition. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me an image anymore. So I do want to try and repair it one day. I want to learn soldering so I can go in and potentially try and repair it and get it working again. But obviously, in terms of speedrunning and that, I had to switch it up because I'm in Scotland. So we had PAL, and it's slow, and it's like, I don't want to. At the time, it was like, this is brilliant. I didn't care about 50 and 60 hertz. I just wanted it to work. And then I found out about the differences, and it's like, this is slower. No, I need a Genesis. So I went out, I got myself a Genesis, and I use that for my speedrunning on it. But it's one of those things where I want to have an ultimate gaming room, so to speak, where I have all my consoles on their shelves being displayed, but I also want them to be usable. I want them to be playable, whereas I can go in, flick a power switch, hit two buttons on like my, I have an Extron HDMI switch, basically. I've got one of those. And I have it all hooked up, like all these cables. So I can just go in, hit buttons. It's okay. Today is Mega Drive. Next day is N64. Oh, I want to go switch to the PlayStation. It's like I can switch them over. It's amazing. It's expensive, but it's amazing. But what I wanted to do is keep my original consoles as original as my nostalgic games growing up.
Sure.
And then buy a second console that I can modify to be usable with like RGB or whatever. So that'll become like my stream console, basically.
For those of us that speedrun retro, I feel like that's the dream. Like just to have every console just ready. You don't have to, because you can see I got some set up over here. Like anytime I want to bust out, let's say I'm speedrunning Super Nintendo or whatever, it's, I got to unplug stuff, put stuff in. It's not the most, especially depending on the space that you have and everything. So that's the dream. That's the dream to have it all just set up ready to go, right?
Cable management's a pain in the butt, but when you get it right, it's just, yes, that's what you're looking for. But no, I jumped down the RGB hole, and I do not regret it. Expensive, yes, but worth it to go. It's like, look, I can play my original consoles on a big fancy TV, and like I can stream them. And I've had people come in and like, I've been doing my speedruns, and go, it's like, is this emulator? It's like, no, this is actual console, and they are really surprised with the quality, so I'm quite happy about that.
That's one of the great things about being into any of this retro stuff nowadays is it seems like literally every year there's always new stuff and real ways to either just preserve and also play our stuff at the highest quality. It's absolutely amazing now. I can't believe some of the things that we've seen come out in this. It's pretty cool.
The retro. I call it like a little bit of a retro renaissance right now.
Totally.
As you say, there's so many people out there now working on cool things. Like you've got the Mr. team, you've got the Retro Tank team, the OSSC is there, and they're working on the OSSC Pro. Like these are a lot of acronyms, but basically these people are doing absolutely amazing work to not only preserve retro gaming, but allow it to work in the modern age. And it's just so good. And you've got all the modders out there that have made all these really cool mods for your consoles that allow you to get HDMI output. You've got all these cables that can be made for it. You've got the EverDrives, which is one of like the most amazing retro pieces of tech ever. It's like, yup. But it's fantastic.
So what kind of gamer were you growing up? And I mean, like, did you have the competitive itch? Is it something you just enjoyed? Sonic is all about going fast. So I'm always curious if, it's like, was that something that was speed built into some of the early playthroughs? Or I would curious what kind of gamer you were.
It was a bit of everything, really. Like I was definitely a little bit competitive. If you stuck me in a room with my friends, yes, we would be definitely competing against each other to who's the best.
Right.
And it really didn't matter which games we were playing at the time. As I said, I was a jack of all trades when it came to it. As I said, I started with my Sonics, but we had Micro Machines, we had Mega Bomberman, we had Mario 64, Lilac Wars, Legend of Zelda, both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Going through, let me just have a look. Let's just rhyme off some random games from the wall behind me. On the GameCube, we have got things like Smash Bros, Monkey Ball. There is the Crash Bandicoot games. You've got Star Fox Adventures.
You can see the Final Fantasies you got back there.
Oh yeah, you've got Metroid. You've got all my Final Fantasies. A big JRPG fan.
Awesome.
I've got my Final Fantasies. I've got the Tales of series up there. Also a fan of one game that I know not many people know. Many people play a very but basically, it's the R No Surge game, part of the CL No Surge series, and it's like CL No Surge itself is Japanese exclusive. Arg doesn't speak or read Japanese right now, so I can't play that game. But it's like it was a case of no, I love JRPGs. I think they're amazing. They're good fun. I've got the Drakengard series. I've got the Nier series. So I was ecstatic when Nier Automata came out, and then a couple of years later, Replicant's getting remade. Right. Because the original Nier on the PS3, it's a game I almost never had. Because it came from. I used to work in my local game store growing up in high school, and he was basically the assistant manager. My assistant manager Dave, and we would go in. We're working in the game store, so of course we're just chatting about games and that, aren't we? But he came up to me one day and was just like, "Yo, you ever played Nier?" I was like, "You seen this game?" I'm like, "I have no idea what that is. I've got no clue." At this point, I'd played Drakengard 1 and 2, so I knew what Drakengard 1 and 2 were. I didn't know this was a continuation of that as a different thing. Basically, Yoko Taro's Wild Ride. And he just went to me. He just grabbed the case, stuck a game in it, and went, "Take it and play it." And I fell in love with that game, because that game was like nothing I had ever played before in terms of the story, in terms of the music, just hitting you in the feels, and it didn't care. You know, like to me, that was one of the heaviest games I played at that time. Remembering, I was a teenager. I was about 16, 17, you know, it's like, this is just like, oh, dang. And then unfortunately, couple of years later, he passed away. But it's like anytime I talk about Nier, it's like I remember him, and it's the fact that I would never have found that hidden gem if not for him just going, take it and go, take it and play it. So it's like big thank you to him, and like, you know, rest his soul and whatnot. And then a couple of years later, fast forward it, there's the remake, and it's just as good. And I'm like, oh my god, yes. And we get this extra content that we missed. It was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
I gotta say, it's the best type of colleague or friend, somebody who turns you on to a game that, you know, impacts your life that way. And I think all of us who are doing this, or are speedrunning and stuff, obviously gaming is something that's impacted us. So that's so cool that you got to have that experience. And you can hear the passion in your voice as you're talking about the game. So it's really cool. It's so interesting that it's such a diverse, because I think also, sometimes as speedrunners, we're a little tunnel vision in the type of games that we play, or the types of games that we speedrun that are appealing, but that doesn't exclude all these other great experiences that are out there. I'm a JRPG fan yourself. Final Fantasy is probably my favorite series, even though I'm a platform, I 2D platform games are mostly my speedrun games, right? So super interesting. It's super cool that there's this variety and this, there's all this stuff to be out there.
No, exactly. I mean, as you say, like, as speedrunners, that people are like, oh yeah, we know Arg for the Sonic games, we know Latmaki for the 2D platformers. It's like, yeah, but we're gamers. We play other games as well. It's like, that's why I have this collection behind me. It's like, yo, I play these other games. And as I say, just continuing on there with the original questions, like, what games do I have? The PS4 games, we've got like almost every genre under the sun. You've got Watch Dogs, Trials Fusion, Devil May Cry's in there. The Dynasty Warriors games are there. We've got Ape Escape and Ape Escape 2 in the PlayStation, because those games are hilarious. They're
like, wonderful.
Why not?
Yeah. And great speedruns, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Capturing the monkeys is good fun. But it's like, I'm a big Soulsborne fan as well. I love the Soulsborne series, and Elden Ring I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Elden Ring. But it's like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Neo, Sekiro, things like that. These are all they're fantastic games. But yeah, I play a whole bunch. And something that you don't see in the collection, because you can't see them, indie games. I am a massive fan of indie games. Games like Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight, Freedom Planet. you name it. There's a whole bunch. Recently, I've been playing One Step from Eden. That game is phenomenal because it is a fast-paced Mega Man Battle Network style game, and I love Battle Network. It's like, this is so fast, it's so frantic, it's so fun. So that's another series. I love my Mega Man games, like Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man X. Yes, please. Like, it's so good. And indie games can just capture this magic.
Oh yeah.
And you want to believe, like some people will say, oh yeah, they're really short experiences. Lately, indie games are pretty long. Or maybe that's just because I'm getting into roguelikes a lot. So it's like, oh, no, I'm being sucked in.
What's I saying? I know you grinded Hades, but look at Hades. I mean, you could put 100 hours into Hades, right? I mean, it's rad. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like, you just get sucked into these games and you're going, these are games that I want to play. And they're absolutely phenomenal. So hopefully I do more with them in the future. Maybe even do a couple of speedruns of them or two. But we'll see what happens.
Heck yeah. So how did you get it in, or what was your first experience? What led you down the path into actually, speedrunning, trying speed, doing speed? How did that all start then?
So probably the same as like pretty much every other speedrunner that isn't an OG member. I'd watched speedrunning for the longest time from about 2011 onwards. Always looking forward to Awesome Games Done Quick and then Summer Games Done Quick and watching it 2 times a year, seeing all these runners come in and go, I could never do that. There's no way I could do that. This is nuts. What are they doing? And just really, really enjoying it. Fast forward about 5 years. And it was like, I kept on saying the same thing. It's like, nah, there's no way I could do this. Maybe I could do this. Nah, there's no way I could do it. 2016, start 1 year before 2015, I decided I wanted to get into streaming and whatnot. And it was a case of, if I'm playing video games and that anyway, like I come home from high school, I'll play video games. Why not stream them? Why not turn it into a hobby? I'm doing it anyway. And I went in there. And it was a case of I started streaming and I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just doing whatever I felt like. And if people came in to watch, That was cool. I actually played games like Dungeon Defenders 2, which is an action tower defense game, and just really played what I fancied. I had no rhyme or reason or direction on it. 2016 came in. Once again, GDQ happened. And at this point, I discovered other events like ESA and Calithon and things like that. And RPG Limit Break was, I believe, on the cusp of being made around this time. And it was like, okay, I'm actually going to try it. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to learn a speedrun. And during that year, I believe it was April, May time, the Sonic Speedrun community were running an event called Sonic Speed R. And it was a friendly tournament that they had where you came in, you used golf rules. It was a very weird way that they did the scoring system. But hey, the crux of the idea was over 25 days, you will speedrun race a different Sonic game. And the person that played the most and did the best wins at the end of it. So I decided I'm going to join it. Yeah. Like, why not? They said newbies are welcome. We want more people to come in and play Sonic games. Come and pick one. Come and play with us. So I picked all 25. I came in and I literally entered all 25 races that we had because the games were a mystery. We didn't know what games they were going to be. All the setup and that was given to us. They did a really good job at organizing it, making sure it was accessible for everybody that wanted to come in. So I just came in and I started racing. I even won one of the races. It was one of the Sonic 4s. I can't remember if it was episode 1 or episode 2, but there weren't many racers for that game for obvious reasons. And it's a case I just came in actually one of the races. It was amazing. But the rest of them, I was kind of just, nope, I'm trailing up the back of the pack here, but I'm having fun while doing it. Because I played the games casually. I knew what they were like because I had that nostalgia for me. And then just being in a community, chatting with people, being like, okay, yeah, no, they're hanging about with us. They are in voice with me, just cheering me on, going through. Some of them did actually stay behind until I finished. And at the end of it, I thought, you know what? I really want to do this. And I picked up Sonic Adventure DX, specifically Sonic Story, as my first speedrun. And at that point, that's when I kind of pivoted my streaming to, I'm going to do speedrunning. And ever since then, I've been hooked. And I do my speedruns. And then a year after that, Sonic Mania came out, and that's when I got to join the team in helping to route the game, helping to find all the special stages, trying to find all these tricks and glitches, and then eventually got Sonic Mania as my first ever speedrun, and like big marathons and that as well. Like European Speedrunner Assembly accepted it. I got to run in there. I got to start doing commentary and whatnot. And it blossomed from that point, basically. It's like, then I just became the Sonic speedrunner, pretty much. It's like, I just went, no, Sonic is what I'm doing. I will do Sonic. And 2017 was basically the year of Sonic Mania for me. And it's when I kind of had a bit of an explosion in terms of viewership and just enjoyment of doing all my speedruns with Mania.
Okay, let's talk a little Sonic. Growing up as a kid, I had an NES. My best friend had Sega Genesis, so I would play Sonic at his house. And even, I think our first game was Sonic 1, but I can't remember. Sonic 2 is the one that sticks in my head all the time. And it's just this wonderful game where it's like speed is just built into it. What is it to you that has appealed? What is the thing that hooks you in from Sonic? Why those games? What is it about? Because especially being that you've played, you play through you play so many of the different Sonic games, 3D, 2D, and I'm curious, what is the hook for you?
It is the speed. It's that feeling of being able to go fast and have, as you say, it's built into the game. Speedrunning just exemplifies that. Because I do both glitched and glitchless. And both games, like both categories, have their amazing points on it. It's a case of, glitched. We're going to go to the left. We're not meant to be. Suddenly we're at the end of the level. Yeah. Oh my God, how did you do that? That's fantastic. Or you get stuck in a wall. You get launched at high speeds. And you can do all sorts of really cool tricks and things like that. Obviously, you get the people, it's not real speedrunning. Okay, I'll do it glitchless. And I'm still doing it fast. Because when you memorize the routes and you know what's coming, you can just keep Sonic going so fast through levels here. Normally, you go in and then there's an obstacle in your way that slows you down. You've got to jump over it. You've got to navigate your way around it, then build up that speed again. But as a speedrunner, you know it's coming in advance. So you just keep that speed and you go, and that's what gets me on that in terms of the games, as you say, both 2D and 3D, very different in how they handle it. But it's like you find those ways to keep that speed going and you have fun with it. And as you say, Sonic's his name. Speed is his game. That's what he does. But I will admit, nostalgia is a big, heavy thing in there as well. It's totally agree. Why do you speedrun Sonic games? Because I grew up with them and I love these games. I grew up with Sonic. I grew up with his attitude. I would be remiss in saying if it wasn't a case of he shaped who I am today, like with his attitude and how he was portrayed in that with, I'll always help people, but it's like I got a cool attitude while I'm doing it, and I've got rock music that I listen to because the music in Sonic games is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
If the game itself's a little bit naff, it doesn't matter because the music's going to be banging. So it's literally that.
So Sonic 2 is it's the only Sonic game that I've ever submitted a speedrun for and everything like that. And I still to this day, in my opinion, it's in my top 10 games of like all time. I just love it so much. But to your point, it's really cool to see that glitched and glitchless have these competitive leaderboards, like, in almost all of the main series Sonic games. And it's really impressive that those two things exist and they can exist. And they also, the runners have been discovering strats, coming up with new things to do. They both serve their own purpose and really have their own set of features. As a speedrunner yourself, what are some of the things that you find as differences between the glitched and the glitchless runs?
So the main thing, obviously, are the level wraps and the zips. I alluded to it earlier, but basically a level wrap in the game. A Sonic game, you're supposed to go to the right to go find the end of the level. That is how that works. But speedrunners have managed to find out that through the way programming works with these games, if you manage to go past the level boundary at 0 on the x-axis, the game does not like that, so it will automatically send you to the furthest possible right of the stage. And if you can just bypass that level boundary that's supposed to stop you, you immediately just zip to the end of the stage most of the time. It doesn't work on every single stage because sometimes there's not a way to get past the barrier. Other times you get past the barrier and the game just decides, no, you're not supposed to be there. I'm going to kill you and reset you back to where you're supposed to be. But most of the time it's, no, we will just take you from one end of the level to the other. And the main difference is, as you say, the both categories thrive. I would say the main difference between them is that the glitched categories are definitely the harder categories. Because you have some of the glitches that are fairly simplistic to do. You can pick them up and you can go and learn them. You'll be able to learn them pretty quickly. I personally believe difficulty is subjective. One thing I find really easy, you may find really hard. And it just depends on how well you pick up certain aspects of the game. But for me, the glitch stuff, there's a lot of stuff in there that's pretty difficult. Like you've got to move at a pixel perfect location where if you're not on that right spot and then you try and do something, you're going to get yourself either stuck in a wall and you can't move and you're soft locked, or you're going to launch yourself in the right direction but you're not going to have enough height for it, or you're not going to overshoot it and end up in the loop back area and have to reset. Like there's a lot of things with the glitched runs that are very, very precise to the point where if you do it wrong, end of the run, reset, try again. And there's nothing you can do to recover it, unfortunately. Whereas with the glitchless runs, it's more about that mastery of movement, knowing the level inside and out, knowing what your cycles are, where your enemies are going to be at what time, how to maximize your speed, how to conserve that momentum when you need it so you're not constantly having to stop, and just knowing the game's literally like inside out, just from a general gameplay perspective.
That's a really good point. And I've noticed from watching your stream and then seeing you on these big marathons and things like that is you make a lot of these things look pretty easy. But also the fact that the zips and the glitches on the glitch side of things are some of the things that are just really noticeable right away when you watch a Sonic speedrun. What is has been your approach? Are you loading this up in save states? Like, how do you learn? Because I struggled a bit with the zips at first, and then once I started getting a little more comfortable, but it took me a while to get there. So I'm curious with how, what was your approach in learning some of these bigger tricks?
It's definitely take it one trick at a time. Until you feel like I'm consistent enough with it where I'm happy to give it an attempt in a run. I'm actually doing that right now with Sonic Colors Ultimate. The game came out. It has a lot of new tricks in it. I'm trying to learn them, trying to get top 10 in every single Sonic game. And Sonic Colors is my latest one because it's new and it's fresh. But it's difficult because the people who run this game are very good. And the difference between, I'm 11th right now, and the difference between me and the person in 10th is a good 3 minutes.
Whoa.
So it's like, oh, I've got tricks I need to learn. And there was one that I was really struggling with to try and do. And it's like, no, I need to learn this trick. So I would just spend the time in the level just trying to get it. Like I try to spend about like maybe 20 to 30 minutes on a trick, trying to learn it, dissect it, see why it's doing, how it's doing, check if there's a tutorial for it, because there's no point in treading old ground if there's somebody already who has a tutorial for you. So you look at the tutorials, I spend the time trying to learn it, and then I will try and replicate it in a run. When it comes to the speed runs themselves, I'm more of a full game runner rather than an IL person. I like to just continuously put out runs, keep going and going and going, learn more as I go along, look back at my splits after a run, see which areas were good, which areas I need to improve on. If there was a major trick that went wrong, I'll then go back and I'll practice that major trick. I'll go practice some of the other tricks I feel like I'm weak on. I need to try and build up consistency, or not even build up consistency, but just warm up on. Sometimes you come to a glitch, you're like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to land this. I'm going to warm up on it, and then go back in and just continuously do runs and just keep pumping runs out that way. But I know some people really like doing the IL route where they'll just grind out a level, then they'll go do runs afterwards. Sometimes I'll do that, but most of the time I'm just full game. But I feel like that's because I'm trying to build not only just myself as a speedrunner, but I'm trying to build myself as a content creator. Right. And to some people, watching the same level over and over again for 3 hours, or watching the same glitch over and over again for 3 hours isn't really an entertaining stream. So it's like, no, I'm going to do a run so you can at least get a full run. I try and always do at least one full run per stream so everybody at least gets something out of the stream,
the game. No, I'm glad you've highlighted those different approaches, because they're definitely, both of them have merit too. Interestingly enough, there have been people on this podcast who, they don't want to build bad habits, so that's why they do the IL thing, and I think that actually has a lot of merit. I'm like yourself. I like playing through the game, but I also feel like it it teaches you to deal with situations because you're going to be running into probably something new. Basically, no speedrun is ever the same, minus a few games now that have been so highly optimized. But I mean, for the most part, you're going to have something's going to be different about it. And so learning to deal with those situations so you can keep a run going or maybe save yourself having to do a reset and stuff like that, I think is a valuable part of the speedrunning process as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. We gotta talk Sonic Mania just for a moment because when that game came out, I still haven't even played. I don't feel like I haven't played through all the content that exists in that game. It's just a wonderful celebration of everything from obviously the nostalgia factor of everything that I was brought up playing Sonic and stuff. It's a game I'm looking right now. You have 10 different category submission. I mean, you've played, and there's still probably some maybe you haven't. I don't know. What is it about that game that keeps you going?
Oh, well, as I say, for me, it was just a case of, I'm a baby in the Sonic community, you know, like in the 2D classic side of the Sonic community, I'm a baby. I came in at 2016, but didn't start doing a major run of them until later on in my speedrunning career. And then Sonic Mania came out, and it was like, okay, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles, those games, they've pretty much been solved, as it were.
Right.
The route is pretty much the same. There might be glitches that people haven't discovered yet, but most of the time people are using the same glitches. Mania is my chance to come in and experience a brand new Sonic, like classic Sonic release. You know, I get to come in, I get to be part of the player base who is going to route the game, who is going to get to find these glitches, I just get to be part of that process, basically. And it was a new 2D Sonic game. Of course I'm going to play it. There's no way that I'm not. But it was amazing just being able to work with the other players who were playing the game, go, okay, I'm in this level, I've found this trick. Can anybody else do something with it in another level? Or here's the speedrun strat for the special stages. Here's how we're going to do it. Is it faster to play the game with super characters, or is it faster to play the game as any percent? It's actually possible for Tails, Knuckles, Mighty, and Ray to play the game with the super forms in the Chaos Emeralds than it is to play the game in any percent, because the way the Chaos Emeralds can be collected in that game. It is because the Chaos Emeralds can be collected in about 5 minutes, which is ridiculously fast. You mitigate that time loss by being super, by being able to just speed along and unlock some other skips that the standard characters cannot do. And it's just absolutely hilarious. It would be faster for Super Sonic as well if it wasn't for the fact he unlocks a second stage at the end of the game, and you're like, oh, dang it. But I can play that game faster getting the Chaos Emeralds than I can doing it any percent, which to me is just absolutely hilarious. But yeah, it was the staying power for that, and it was the game that I just decided, nope, this is it. This is going to be my game for the longest time. I still consider it to be my game, especially since a couple of months ago, in fact, it was last month, I believe, Joey Baby 69, absolutely amazing Sonic runner, has the sweep for the classic Sonic games right now, which is super impressive, came back to Mania and actually discovered a brand new trick that saves 40 seconds. So I've kind of got a bit of an itch right now to be like, yo, you know that time you've got? You can save 40 seconds on that. So and other people have done the same. They've came back. I used to be 3rd place on the leaderboard. I'm now 6th because other people have came back. It's like, right, no. I need to reclaim my top 3 on that. I need to get back in there. So I'm thinking maybe January I'll jump back in the Mania seat and go hard on the game again just to try and get up in there.
So, according to speedrun.com, over 600 players, over 4,000 runs. This is just a game that obviously a lot of people found. And it's really interesting that you were interested in being there on the ground floor when it first came out, and there's a community. Can you tell us a little bit about like the community around maybe this game, but also Sonic? Like, what was it like when that game first came out and you're all discovering these things or how to save time and stuff like that? Was there sharing going on? What was happening in the community at that time?
Oh yeah, there was a massive buzz. Like, it was a case of I'd go to bed one night, I'd wake up next morning, there'd be like 4 or 5 new tricks discovered. Like, yo, okay, we got to try this and see how this goes. It's like people were just constantly coming in, going, yo, here's my time. There's a time trial mode built into the game, so we had people just going in doing ILs all the time. Like Green Hill 1, it's the first level in the game. Of course, people are going to play it, and they played it over and over and over, and just trying to save the milliseconds on it, and just watch the people just get these runs lower and lower and lower. learning how the runs and that were going to go. We had people making tutorials. Like I've got a tutorial myself up there for Mania on YouTube now, and it's still relevant, which I love. It's great. And then we were constantly coming in, finding new stuff, trying to just hone our skills, refining our runs here. And with the fact that we had the 3 characters to start with, it was just Sonic, Knuckles, Tails originally before Mania Plus dropped. We were just playing all the characters, finding out what we had before we finally settled on, okay, who's going to play Sonic most of the time? Who's playing Tails most of the time?
Right.
Who's doing Knuckles? And it was just one of those cases where it didn't matter which character we settled on at the start. We were all just playing everything and trying to find all the silly stuff. And because it was a callback to the classic games, we had the ideas of, okay, Knuckles can do super glides in the classic games. Can he do them in Mania? Yes, he can. Right, time to find out what we can do with these and where we're going with them. And I have a trick that is still used in the run to this day. One of the levels, Mirage Saloon 1, Knuckles has a different stage, and there was a very finicky super bounce that you could do to skip part of the level, but you only got one attempt at it because once the item box was gone, that's it. You can't do a super bounce anymore. But we found out that there was a big ring right next to the item box, so we could grab that, do a very precise spin dash on a slope, do a jump, and glide with Knuckles, and still make it. And that strat is still used in the run to this day, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's like, yo, there you go. Arg's found a strat that's still used in the game. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the other strats that we used have unfortunately been superseded by newer stuff. But it means that we're going faster and faster. So it's like, yeah, the community it was all a buzz. And then we got to do it again because a year later, Mania Plus came out. And that unlocked Mighty and Ray, 2 new characters. It gave us Encore Mode, which was another mode of the game to play. And I remember at the time, Encore Mode dropped at the worst time for me. Because I was preparing to do a speed run of Sonic Mania at ESA and then Mania Plus dropped and they patched a lot of the stuff. And it was like, oh no, they've patched a lot of the things that we were going to do. Thankfully, I didn't have to update the game because I brought a copy of the game with me. I bought my game files and we could just turn off the internet, not update the game, and the run went well. But during that week where it was at ESA, everybody in the Discord server was abuzz again because we were finding out what had been patched, what hadn't been patched, what new glitches were found because of the patch, because you know how it works.
Oh, yeah.
99 bugs in the code, you fix one, 198 bugs remain in the code. So it's like, oh, well, there you go. So new bugs got discovered, some stuff got fixed, but the community was abuzz again. And I was constantly checking the Discord, seeing all this new stuff that came up, and I'm going, is there anything in here that I could maybe add into the old run? I better not, because I'll ruin the run. I'm not going to do it. And then I went and done my speed run, enjoyed the rest of ESA, came home, got right back into Mania Plus. And it was a case of the process just started again. And it was fantastic.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that because especially with newer games. I mean, a game that comes out nowadays, that's what happens. Things get patched. Sometimes in lieu of some of the things happening in speedrun, some developers have actually tried to keep things in for speedrun. It's been really interesting to see some of the development of this stuff, but I can only imagine the nerves, like having to go, right as you're about to go on stage, you've been practicing your ass off for the whole thing, and then oh yeah, let's just patch this right now. Why not? What does it matter?
Yeah, exactly. I will say, like, it's really cool how developers nowadays are aware of the speedrunning community and do try to keep things in. Obviously, it's not possible to keep everything in. And personally, the way I see it, at the end of the day, we're speedrunners. We're only playing the game. Yes, we're playing it in a different way. Yes, we might be broadcasting it to audiences, but we're still only just a player. At the end of the day, it's the developer. It might not even be the developer. It might be the publisher that's telling them, you need to patch this, and things get patched. It sucks. Tensions flare up. I know for Sonic Mania Plus, there was a lot of tension that happened. We actually had the devs in the server with us a few times, and unfortunately, when things got fixed, a few people did get heated over the fact you just used us as glorified QA. You know that argument that comes out sometimes. It's like, oh, stop using gamers as free labor and whatnot. And temperatures flared up. It wasn't great, and there was a bit of animosity between folks. But at the end of the day, it's where I was always just coming out and telling them, I was like, listen, it's their game. They do what they want. It's like, does it suck? Yeah, a little bit. I'm a little bit disappointed that some of my favorite skips I got patched as well. But at the end of the day, we'll just find more and we'll just go fast. And that's just what we did.
Exactly. And I will say that is one of the, I guess you could say it's a benefit of speedrunning retro. For the most part, you're usually not going to get there are different versions of retro games. I run this, is it the Sonic Classics one, whichever one had the 3 games on it, whatever. But for the most part, we don't get anything new or anything like that. So we can reliably, trust that the game is going to stay in the same state it's in currently. So...
Yeah, and so in Sonic 2, I like to joke, Wing Fortress, the first part of the level has a little chicken that you can jump on its platform up to the level, but it's a tight jump. So sometimes if you just don't jump high enough, you don't make it. When it happens like 5 times in a row, I very much love screaming, they've patched my game, they've patched it, I can't get up. It's like, no, it's the retro game, mate. You just suck.
Every time I've lost a run there, I've been embarrassed about it because you feel so dumb missing the, you've done all this other nonsense to get there. And then,
Yeah. It was like simple jump, just nope. It's like, oh, it's like, okay, fine. It's like, no, they patched it, I swear. It's like, no, they didn't.
What are you talking about? We can make that work. Why not? Okay, so let's talk a little bit then about Sonic Adventure DX, because one of the things I will just going to be readily admit here, I have very little familiarity with 3D Sonics. I never owned a Dreamcast or Saturn or anything like this, so my Sonic experience, or even a GameCube when I was growing up, so like my Sonic experience is limited in the 3D space. What is it about that game that was the one that you were like, oh man, I got to play that? And what's it been like trying to learn those strats and continue? I mean, you've grinded this game to say the least.
Oh yeah, definitely. As I say, it was the first game that I actually picked up seriously to play, and again, a major part of that was just nostalgia.
Right.
The thing that made it number one for me was just when I was doing the 25 Sonic games. That was the one that stuck out in my mind as the one that I enjoyed the most.
Very cool.
I had a lot of fun playing it. I saw people do all these tricks and that, and I thought, I want to learn how to do that. I want to jump and skip half the stages. I want to go through that wall that apparently doesn't exist. So it's like. That was it. I'm just going to take the time. I'm going to learn it. Just like any other Sonic game, once you've started to get in there, it really does have that feeling of speed. And away you go. It's also the level. It's the first game that taught me, yes, walls are but suggestions. Because in that game, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, but you can see where the parts go together. So you're like, I'm just going to go through there. And you do. You literally just go through walls and whatnot. I started with Sonic Story specifically. It's a relatively quick category, about 35 minutes to play it. So learning it, obviously, you're taking maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours when you first start, but very quickly you start to bring the time down. It's like you've got sub-hour, then 50 minutes, 40 minutes, down to 35, depending on how far you want to push it, get down to the 30-minute, get into that record time frame. But yeah, it was a case of I loved the movement, I loved the games. It was nostalgia because I had the Dreamcast growing up. I actually remember one day it was a case of just randomly didn't want to go to school that day. Oh, Mom, I'm sick. I'm not well. Yeah. And then wait until after lunchtime, because after lunchtime, there's no point in going to school for half a day. Oh, I'm magically better. I'm going to go and play Sonic Adventure now. And I remember finishing Sonic Adventure, the entire game, in about 3.5 to 4 hours, just as me throwing a sick day, basically, just sitting, playing the game and having fun with it. I remember the bell ringing when I was in the middle of like doing Gamma's stories. Like, yeah. Not a speedrunner at the time, because this is just when I was playing the game for funsies. But it's like, I remember doing that going, if I could go back in time and tell that version of me, yo, you're going to speedrun this, I imagine he would be amazed and would absolutely love it. But yeah, so I built up my skill in Sonic Adventure DX for Sonic Story. Then eventually I decided I'm going to go learn the rest of them as well. And then all stories became a thing. So it's like you run through the entire game. And I got to get good at them and have fun with it, and then show it off at marathons as well. Because that's basically my goal, is not only to learn them and show it off and get a top 10 time, but to entertain and show them off at marathons and just have fun with it, you know? It's like, yo, you want to see this cool thing? Let me show you this cool thing. Go for it.
Well, I think you teed up my next question here. So if you're watching the video of this, I'm showing you a run from ESA Summer 2020. And one of the things that it's the way that you're able to present these runs is I've never seen or heard anything like it. And first of all, I'm convinced you don't take any breath at all while you're doing this. But Anybody who's if you're listening or watching this podcast, you're probably familiar with Argick and his runs. How, I guess, the style, is this something that you've developed, or is this where you're constantly just throwing out information, or is this something that just came very natural? I'm just curious about how you get to a point where you can do something like this, because you're playing this game for 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes, and it's like nonstop where you're able to just give info about everything. And I'm first of all, I'm just extremely impressed by it. But then secondly, as a viewer, it's like the greatest thing ever. So how did that come about, and what led to this?
So this is something that I've kind of grown into. It's a style that I've grown into. I like to just refer to it as my marathon style commentary is what I call it. Because it's super speedy, it's super informative, yet it's also simple. Like, I try and keep it in simple terms so people are understanding how I'm doing it, or at the very least, if I can't explain how I'm doing it in the couple of seconds that I have, I at least explain what is happening so they can have an understanding of how things are going. As I say, it's something that I grew into because initially with Sonic Mania and that, when I started submitting that to marathons, I didn't really have this style for it, but I was thinking about it. It's like, okay, what do you want to do with speedruns? How do I emulate speedrunners that I like to watch, the runs that I like? I like the runs that are entertaining, as in the runners are funny. They have like, they're just very memorable because they're clearly enjoying themselves. They clearly had passion for what they're doing, and they were just enjoying every moment. There's also the runners that were informative, that were explaining things as they were going along in a way that made it simple for the viewer to follow along to. So it's like, I was going, how do I emulate this? I don't like, how does this work? In a Sonic game, it doesn't, because I can't do super informative commentary in like 3 seconds. It's not how this goes. It's not how this works. So it was a case of, you get that Venn diagram. It's like, okay, you can be informative, or you can be fast, or you can be entertaining. It's like, pick one or pick two. And I'm like, I wanted to be in the middle there. I wanted to have all three. I wanted it to be informative, and I wanted it to be fun. How do I do that? It needs to be speedy. I wanted it to be speedy, but I wanted it to be fun. How do I get informative in there? It's like, right, okay. And it was a case of, right, pre-plan your run, know what tricks are coming up, start explaining them before you hit them, and line it up where the punchline of the trick hits at the moment that you do it. And then that way, if you do something like, for example, Flying Battery 2 skip, where you skip the boss, I'll start explaining it on the lead up to the skip. We'll hit the checkpoint. We'll despawn from Supersonic. We've got our lightning shield. We're going to babysit our buddy Tails down to the spring. We hit the spring. We hit the jump. At this point, I've already explained, if this works, Tails is going to be under the level, and he's going to be able to hit the capsule bars. All I need to do is nail the jump. So I've already set the stage for that. Now it's time to execute it. And if I execute it, we get a big pop-off. If we don't, it's like, you get the opposite. Instead of a pop-off, you get the commiserations, and then the run continues. You go on. Like, you can't grieve for the run at that point. The run's still got to continue. You're only halfway through the game. And it's kind of like breaking the commentary down into sections, explaining the things where in the beginning, you explain all the momentum, you explain all the tech that you've got coming through. At each individual level, you explain the gimmick, you explain the trick as it's coming up. And then as you get to the end game, you're building up to this big finale, and then hopefully you're getting a good time. And it was a case of, I take that kind of formula for my games. I find out what part fits with each one. I build it up over time. Like, no run is going to be the same, because no speed run is ever the same, but also no commentary for me is the same, because I'll be taking my runs, I'll watch them back, I'll go, okay, that bit was a bit naff, I need to either refine it, or I need to just miss that out completely because there's too much information, or I space it out, I put it somewhere else just to bring it in. And I always want to make sure, as I say, I have the biggest smile on my face while I'm doing it. I am just talking through it 100 miles an hour, because if Sonic is going fast, I'm going to go fast, but I'm going to make sure I'm coherent as well so you can understand it. And as you say, I'm not going to breathe while I'm doing it. No, that's a lie. I do breathe. I just breathe in between the words. You can't hear it. Sometimes you'll hear it. Like, if you listen for it, you'll hear the micro breaths. But most of the time, I'm just talking. I'm going fast. I'm taking micro breaths as I'm going through. And it's just a skill that I've learned to build up. I think it also helps that I take a little bit of inspiration from legends like Murray Walker, who does the F1. Like Mario Warfare was amazing.
Yes.
But like more recently as well, I used to watch a lot of esports. I used to watch a lot of League of Legends. So there's people in there like Quick Shot, Freak. There's Medic as well. It's like just take inspiration from their styles, like the hype in that, how they handle it, how they are telling a story with the run basically, and just weaving that into speedrunning. And as long as I can keep doing that and keep doing that style of run, I'll be super happy. And the other thing that makes me know that I am succeeding on it, people see these marathon runs, they then come into the stream and they go, yo, I watched your marathon run. It was amazing. Do you ever breathe, bro? And I'm like, no. But they come in and then they're very happy to see that the energy is still the same on the stream. I may not be doing the marathon style commentary. I may not be running my mouth 100 miles an hour with explanation, but I'm still running my mouth 100 miles an hour, just talking to people who are watching, explaining what I'm doing in the game, just having fun with it. So that energy is something that I always want to keep on the stream and whatnot. And it's just who I am. You know, I'm a very happy chappy. I like entertaining people, and that's what I aim to do with my runs and with my streams.
I gotta say, another thing that I appreciate is, so one of the reasons that I even got into speedrunning was the charitable aspect. I love the idea of raising money for this great cause. And throughout, I agree. You're entertaining. You're informing, and that information part is, like you mentioned, this fine balance. But then on top of that, you're also promoting the cause. You're trying to get people to donate. And I think if you're at all interested in doing speedruns, folks, for like, you know, a marathon or a charity or things like that, that's such an important component to it as well. And it seems like it's an important aspect to you, like supporting these causes and things like that. Is that part of it?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I mean, it's a case of, I originally got started in speedrunning because it was entertaining for me. I loved it. I had fun with it. And then I found out that there's this massive charity aspect behind it as well. It's like, yo, yeah, we are ESA, we are GDQ, we are these online events. We're all raising money for all these different charities and whatnot. And you see the charities that they're all raising money for and the good causes that they do. Like, you've got Doctors Without Borders, who are absolutely amazing. You've got the Prevent Cancer Foundation, who, yes, we want to try and prevent cancer. We want to try and get rid of it, which is fantastic. Personally, for me, a charity that is always going to be close to my heart and I love is Special Effect. They are a charity who work with people with disabilities to give them the ability to enjoy gaming. Regardless of what disability they have, they will work together with these people individually and create control schemes that work for them, that allow them to come and play gaming the same way that we all take for granted. And just helping these charities through these great events is absolutely fantastic. And I will continue to submit to these events in hopes that we can raise money for good causes. And that's why I do incentives and whatnot. Like, I will say, if the incentive gets selected for AGGQ this year, you're going to want to watch it, because Arg's got a really daft Sonic outfit that I'll be wearing during the run, if it gets met. So, you know, it's an Amazon outfit. It's exactly as cursed as you think it is, but I'll wear it. You're on the biggest speedrunning stage. I will make a fool of myself to help raise money for charity, you know? And that's what it is. It's all good fun and raising money for a great cause.
Here we go. We got the Argick boss emote in the chat. It's perfect.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's it. That's the emote. That's perfectly me wearing timed. It there. Just like, oh, no. But I submitted the co-op run there, and then they were like, okay, do we have any incentives? It's like, not for the game itself, but I've got an outfit if you'd like to wear it. And then yeah, and it's people enjoy it. They like seeing it, so it's like, why not? Let's bring it out. And so yeah, it's like anytime I can make an incentive for my run. Like, one of the recent games that I've been playing is Sonic Roboblast 2, an absolutely phenomenal Sonic fan game that's been developed over 20 plus years and is still being developed to this day. One of the incentives that I can do for it is get the emeralds or not get the emeralds. And it's like, it sounds like a really simple thing, but in a speedrun marathon sense for incentives, getting the emeralds is fantastic, because it means money has been raised for charity to do it, and people are interested in seeing more of the run, you know? So it gives you that. And I try and make sure I have something to offer in terms of an incentive. Like for Sonic Mania, I need to get back into it, but I would love to do a character bid war. I have a very, very fond memory of doing a run for ESA for one of their online events. And there was a bid war between Tails and Knuckles. The people wanted the Tails and Knuckles, and they were fighting for it. You know, they were, and it just blew up. It just went, and it made bank for the charity, and it was fantastic. It's like save and kill the animals for Super Metroid. Right. You know, it's like when you first saw that, it's like, do you save the animals? Do you kill the animals? Team save all the way, by the way. And it's just like it goes, you know. And when you get that snowballing effect, it's fantastic. And memes are born for the community, jokes are born, and yeah. Like charity stuff, and that is fantastic.
Because you mentioned it, I did a GDQ show on Save or Kill the Animals, and that incentive alone has raised more than $2 million. So this is,
wow.
I mean, this is the power of what we could do as a community. You know, we're out there trying. To your point, let's get some character bid wars going on. Let's make that happen. If you're on the games committee, I'm just saying. Okay, pretty awesome. So freaking cool. Okay, so. Tons of Sonic. Is there anything else? I mean, I've noticed, I'm looking on your profile and you have speedrun other games. Is there any other games that you would like to perhaps even consider speedrunning in the future or anything like that? Because you obviously got a wide, diverse, you know, interest in gaming and things like that.
Oh, for me, as I say, my speedrun.com profile is actually a little out of date. I got a lot more runs I need to upload to that, and it's just like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like make YouTube work at the same time as doing Twitch and that. So it's like upload on a schedule, and it's like I upload them on a schedule, but it's like I have a backlog of runs I need to actually upload to speedrun.com. I got to spend time before the end of the year and actually get that updated. But in terms of other runs, it's. I have a problem, and that problem is I'll sit and play a game casually, and it's like, oh, I like this game. I'm going to speedrun it. Never speedruns the video game. Because it's like, I said I'd do it with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I said I'd do it with Tales of Arise. I said I'd do it with a number of indie games that I've played. I said I would try out some of the Marios. It's like, I've never done it. And I feel like for me, that's because that's the like kind of the business side coming through, the content creator side coming through, where it's like my bread and butter is Sonic. I need to stay in that wheelhouse. I am very fortunate in the fact that I've been able to cheat the system a little bit in that it doesn't matter what Sonic game it is, as long as it is Sonic, people will come and watch. So I'm not stuck into just playing one game, because like some people, you can only play one game, otherwise your viewers don't come in, and it's like that's just the nature of content creation. But it's so it's like I very quickly was like, I don't want to be stuck in that. I'm going to do Sonic. Which game? All of them. Like that's how that works for me. And so I have that like, okay, I don't feel like playing Sonic 2 today. I'm going to play Sonic Adventure DX. But when it comes to like doing the other games and that on stream, it's like I have a casual day that I can do. And just say, I say, nope, I'm not speedrunning today. I'm going to play casual games. Most of the time it's an indie game, but as I say, this year, Nier Replicant came out. I spent like 8 days straight playing that. I killed my metrics for it. I went, I don't care. I'll play this game. I love it. I'm doing it. I said I was going to speedrun it. I've still not started to speedrun it. But it's like, it's one of those things. I have a serial problem where it's like, if I'm playing a game and Arg says he's going to speedrun it, he's not going to speedrun it. It's going to be on his backlog. Maybe he'll do it one day, but we'll have to wait and see. But I did recently manage to speedrun a new indie game called Glyph. It's a little game where you play as a little ball, a little scarab that can be a ball and it can fly around in that. That's a lot of fun. I actually got to run that at a few events and I enjoyed it. But I do feel like the indie games for me, they don't have as long as a shelf life as Sonic does, because as I say, Sonic is something that I will always focus on. And I have that goal of a top 10 times. So I have that bar to go hit. Whereas with indie games, it's like, I want to show them off. I want to play them. I want to have fun with them. But once I'm kind of done with it, I won't necessarily speedrun them. And then that is true, actually. I see chat there saying, it's like, well, you kept your word when you played Hades. Exactly. And I said I'd speedrun that. I did speedrun Hades, but my answer to that is, it's Hades. You got to speedrun Hades. It's fun, you know? Part of that, like, speedrunning is built into the DNA of Hades. You're like, yo, it's like, you've done this. Now do it faster. Okay. Just off. And it's I'm hoping to do some like 3-weapon races with Bobby Blacktastic, because
Yeah.
that would be fantastic. So watch this space for that one. But yeah, there's honestly, if I could, the collection is behind me. If I could speedrun any of them, like the Final Fantasies or the Mega Mans or whatever, I would, and maybe one day I will. It's like the desire is always there. It's just, does the desire win out over the practicality? Like that's the constant struggle that I'm having. So watch this space. We'll see what happens.
And I appreciate your kind of honesty about content, because there are some realities about being a full-time content creator. And I'm curious, on that side of things, do you get a chance to like game for fun or game off stream? Not for fun, but do you do game off stream? Do you get a chance to do some of those things even as a full-time content creator?
Yep. Oh, I wish I was full-time. Believe it or not, I'm not full-time. I may do full-time hours on it, but I am not a full-time content creator yet. I am not making enough money to go full-time, unfortunately. The goal is, yes, to do so, but at the moment, I also work a part-time job as an IT analyst at a local college. I did work there full-time, have been there for about 10 years now, but it was a case of, no, I want to try and go full-time content creation. And I was told by my peers that if you want to go full-time content creation, you need to put more hours into it. And the only way I could put more hours into it was dropping the hours at the job. So thankfully they said, okay, here's the arrangements we can make. And we did that. So now I am trying to make that leap where no longer am I working part-time, but I am full-time content creation. So as I say, I'm trying to do my Twitch, trying to do my YouTube, be on social media, do the Sonic stuff, do whatever branding can come out, like whatever brand deals, if I can work with companies that I like, do all that kind of stuff, But it's difficult. Like, it's a minefield. Nobody has the answers for that. You've got to just navigate it the best you can, So I'm doing that. But yeah, it is a case of, in my free time, I game. Like I still game. As I say, gaming is my hobby.
Good.
Has been since I was a kid. I still game off stream. I don't necessarily speed run off stream. That's one of the things that's different between me and some other speedrunners that I know, is that 90% of my speedrunning, that includes learning, starting a game from scratch, routing it, seeing the tutorials. Most of that is done on stream because I like people seeing the process. Using the iceberg analogy, people only see the run. They only see a marathon run. That's a finished product.
Right.
There's so much more underneath it that you don't get to see. There's so many hours that runners spend routing, practicing, doing the runs, learning commentary for it. Like, there's loads of facets that go into making that one run that you manage to see at an event. And I do the majority of that on stream because I like performing in front of an audience. They give me the drive to continue doing it. Whereas if I'm just sitting here myself, not talking about it, not really doing anything, I'm just like, why am I doing this? There's no point to this.
Yeah.
If there's a specific trick I'm struggling with, I'll do some practice off stream. Because if I can't get it on stream, it's like, okay, no, I need to sit down. I need to learn this. I'm going to take the time to learn it. But outside of that, no, I'm either playing like Fall Guys, or right now it's Final Fantasy 14 with Endwalker, because, oh God, I love that. But yeah, like I'll sit and play, like maybe I'll play a little bit of Apex Legends, or maybe I'll play one of the indie games I'm playing. Like I'll play some One Step from Eden. I'll do a few runs of that, a few rounds in there. Or I'm playing Phantom Abyss, or I'm playing whatever the current hotness is. Like Halo Infinite just released. I'm looking forward to playing some Halo Infinite.
It's really fun.
As I say, it's a case of I am a gamer. I will play the latest and greatest while it's the latest and greatest. I'll then go back to my retros because I want to go back to retro. Maybe I'll do a score attack, a Lilac Wars, because I like doing score attacks of that game. Why not? It just depends what mood I'm in, what takes my fancy at the time,
Well, and
so yeah, like
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's like, yeah, I am speedrunner, yes, but I'm also a gamer. Just give me games. I'll play them. I'll have fun with them.
And to that point, I've recently been watching your stream, and I've noticed you've been doing some co-op runs, because maybe you have one coming up at a marathon. What's the first of all, what have you been speedrunning recently as a co-op run? And what's that experience like compared to, solo, just doing the thing yourself?
It is myself and Amber Cyprin. Together, we are going to be speedrunning Sonic 4 Episode 2 in co-op, and that is going to be absolutely fantastic. That's going to be at AGDQ Wednesday, the 12th of January. sometime around 2:30 GMT. Probably going to get pushed back a little because marathon drift is a thing.
Always.
But no, the way this started is actually fantastic. So originally, a couple of years ago, Amber came to me with an idea, and they were like, I want to do an event for Games Done Quick Hotfix. I want to do a Sonic event that showcases the Sonic runs that don't normally get shown, because the Sonic community has a lot of runners and a lot of games, and we only ever really get 4 or 5, maybe 6 games if we're lucky. There's way too many submissions, and people always seem to get left behind. So Amber was like, I'm going to submit an event to Games Done Quick and see if they're willing to take it, called Sonic and the Shiny Things, where the goal was showcase the categories that grab all the Chaos Emeralds, basically. And at the time, Amber was like, okay, I have a bunch of games here. And they came up to me and went, Arg, you want to learn Sonic 4 Episode 1 for me for this event? And me being me, I just went, sure, why not? And I was just like, okay, I'm going to learn an entirely new game for this event that we've got no idea about. But I wasn't the only one. There was a number of people that went, sure, we'll learn a run for you. And the problem that we had with that is that we had the schedule for Sonic and the Shiny Things. The event went on, and we all smashed our estimates because we gave very, very generous estimates, because we were like, we've not learned these games. We don't know how these games work. And then as time went on, we learned the games, we learned the runs, and we're talking about, my estimate is 1 hour. I finished the run in 45 minutes. Oh no, like there goes that. Okay, that's fine. So the marathon ended up finishing to the point where we had to add in 2 bonus runs, basically, to keep on schedule. It was hilarious. But that event happened, and I learned that game for it. And then I decided to just meme with my chat for a bit. It's like, well, I've learned Sonic 4 Episode 1. Why don't we learn Sonic 4 Episode 2? And they all just went, yeah. Like, you're going to learn that now? That's how this works. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay then, right, fine. Went in, decided we'll learn Sonic 4 Episode 2. Tried to do the Chaos Emeralds, and we're like, nope, never again. Nope. The Emerald stages in Episode 2 suck. It's the half pipe from Sonic 2, but different enough where you have Sonic and Tails. You cannot control Tails unless you're doing co-op, and you have this tether between them both. And there's one level in Special Stage 6 where you've got to do a giant corkscrew, and I just could not get Tails to go around the corkscrew, so I kept failing it over and over and over. When I finally got the emeralds, 3 hours later, I transformed into Supersonic. I was in absolute heaven. It was amazing. I finally did it. I then used the partner action in the game, because you have the ability to turn into a giant spinning ball or fly with Tails in a partner action. The partner actions disable Supersonic. So you have to freeze time to do a partner action, freeze time to transform into Supersonic, and it just kills the flow of the game. I was devastated to find out that turned off Supersonic. And I was just like, I was like, why did I do this? I made a mistake, and I have vowed never to do Sonic 4 Episode 2 All Emeralds again. So I learned the base game instead. And then I got to showcase the base game off at some other events that I did. And then fast forward to a couple of months ago, Amber back in January had the original idea, just coming up to me going, yo, you want to learn Sonic 4 Episode 2 co-op? But we never jumped on it. We never did it, because Amber and I, we're good friends. We love bad ideas. If one of us has a bad idea, we usually rope the other one into it, and we'll accept it because we're numpties. But Amber reached out to me a couple of months ago and went, yo, Arg, submissions for GDQ are happening. You want to learn Sonic 4 Episode 2 for it? And it was like, I just said yes, because one, it's a bad idea. But then I sat and thought about it, and it's like, this has actually come full circle for us, especially now that it's been accepted. I learned Sonic 4 Episode 1 for an event for Amber on the GDQ channel. We are now running Sonic 4 Episode 2 in co-op for a mainline GDQ event, and I'm doing it with Amber. So it's like, this is kind of like a little chapter of my speedrunning career coming to a close with this massive finale. And it's like, this is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's a case of, if we have bad ideas, we're going to do it. Because we interrupted our practice because recently there was a tournament for a little indie game called Fling to the Finish. where you are both little orb creatures, and you are tethered together, and you've got to navigate the obstacle course like Total Wipeout style. And I got an email about it, and I immediately DM'd Amber and went, "Yo, Amber, I got a bad idea. You want in?" Explained it, and Amber went, "Yup." And we entered it, and we had a lot of fun just playing this silly co-op game together, going through, because people like watching us. We have this really good dynamic together where we shout at each other, we laugh at each other's mistakes, we encourage each other, we have fun with it, and they just enjoy the shenanigans that we get up to. Because that's the best way to describe it, honestly. It is complete shenanigans. You know?
That's the best kind of friendship. Hey, I've got a bad idea. You want in? Yeah, of course.
It's like, I'm in. All right, let's go. And we took it from there. So now our bad idea is going to be in GDQ, and it's going to be fantastic.
I can't wait to watch it. But I've been enjoying seeing something. I'm trying to think of other times I've watched in any marathon co-op Sonic stuff, and I can't think of really one. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen all of them, but that off the top of my head, this seems like something that's going to be really interesting and unique. And plus, it's got both of you, so I'm in to begin with. So it's going to be great. I can't wait to see. If you'll permit me at least one more question, I'd like to ask about your stream a little bit. And one thing I'm interested, or I've noticed, and I'm curious if this was a choice or something you just developed over time, is that for the most part, you keep it kind of family friendly. You've got an NFSFW tag on there, and for a lot of us, especially, and I shouldn't say a lot there are some of us that would be more challenging, trying to keep out some of those bad words and stuff. So I'm curious how that came about, or if that's just been a way that it's always been for you.
Nope, it wasn't how it's always been. Okay. There's some old content on the internet that has Arg dropping a couple of every now and again. You're like, oh, he said a bad word.
That's not a good one.
But yeah, no, it was a case of I'm playing Sonic, right? I'm playing games that are rated 3+,
right?
And the way that it worked for me was a case of I don't need to swear to like have fun and get my point across. Like, I'm not edgy. I don't need to be. There are times where I'm doing a speedrun and I do want to go, oh, and then just blurt it out. But it's like I can control myself on that one. I've learned to control myself by doing that. And it was a case of, do you know what? I know people who watch my stream who watch it with their family. They watch it with their kids, and their kids are younger kids and whatnot, because of course they are. They're watching somebody play Sonic the Hedgehog. Right. And you've got people who will stick their stream on just for their kids, like their kids are watching it on the big screen or something rather than watching YouTube. So for me, it's a case of I don't need to swear, so I'm not going to swear, and people can watch the channel knowing that there's not going to be content that they don't want to expose their kids to. And that's just, it was a choice that I decided to make. It's like certain topics of conversation, I don't mind talking about it, but we won't talk about it on stream. We can talk about it in the NSFW chat on Discord. And it's not that it's not safe for work or anything. It's just like, it's certain conversations. Nah, we're not going to bring that up. There's kids watching. It's fine. But it was just a choice for me where it's like, yeah, no, we can keep it family friendly. We can keep it PG. We can still have fun. We can still meme about stuff. It's great. We can still, like, everybody likes poop jokes, we always have fun at that. We can be immature, we can be silly, but we don't need to swear while we're doing it. Is basically the idea. And that's just where I went with it. It was a case of, after I dove right into the Sonic stuff, it's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it family friendly. That's my plan. Let people come in. Also inspired by people like Big John. Big John's a big runner. Right. Does his Mega Mans, his Zeldas, his Sonics, and all that. And he keeps it family friendly. He keeps it clean. So it's like, inspired by him a little bit. No, I'm going to keep it clean as well. And that's where it went for me.
I love that you do it that way. And to be honest, when I think I first saw you on a marathon before I visited your stream, and you used so many words, I just figured, profanity's got to be a part of it. And then when I got there and it's this way, my respect level goes up quite a bit, probably because I do use the F word, rarely on stream, but I do, and so the fact that you could get angry at a game, you don't have to worry about it, but also that there's a space for, if people, especially as the older we get, people are watching with their kids, then there's going to be this next generation of speedrunners at some point here. And, the fact that somebody can watch with their kids, or that kids who are a little bit younger can watch. I just think it's really cool. There's a place for that. So I guess thank you, but also really respect that and that choices. And that's pretty cool that it was a thoughtful choice from pretty early on. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I will say as well, just in case people ask, I do swear. It happens now and again. It just happens off stream. It happens
Off-stream,
away from the
yes.
content. Like I'm not perfect. Nobody is.
nobody is,
and
yeah.
we do drop it. The other thing is like I'm from Scotland. The meme is, oh, we swear all the time. I can if I want to, just not on stream, just not on the content.
I got to tell you a little bit of the ignorant American here. I was like, oh, yeah, isn't that like the F word, like part of the language there? But no. You know what? Hey, I appreciate that you've helped me, see some light here.
Oh, it's always good.
So cool. So much fun. Argick, thank you so much for taking this time. And especially now, I mean, with all the hours that you put into everything that you do, I really I appreciate you taking the time and sharing some of your insights. If people aren't familiar with your stream, if they haven't, first of all, go watch some of his marathon runs because you'll be endlessly entertained. Go visit his stream. Where can people find you on the internet and things like that?
You can find me mainly over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Argick. I stream 5 days a week, every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 11 until 3 p.m. GMT, and then again 6 until 9. And of course, mainly do Sonic speedruns, do a little bit of indie casual gaming as well. But if you want your Sonic fix, come and join us, especially if you want to come see things like the Sonic 8, where we do 8 games back to back. And sometime this month, I haven't decided when, we're going to do the Sonic Generations medley, which used to be a relay race of going through the games represented in Sonic Generations, but I'm going to do it solo. It'll be, I think, my 3rd attempt at it. There's going to be 10 games. It's going to be about 12 hours. It's going to be amazing.
I was going to ask how long.
It's 12 hours. It's a long one, but it's good fun. You can also find me over at my YouTube as well. Type in youtube.com/Argick. You can find me there. I have a second channel starting up as well, just called The Archive. It is where we stick all the stream archives up there. And it's a play on words because I like puns and it's great. So it's starting up as well. But of course, if you have your socials, you can follow me on Twitter as well at JKArgick. That is basically where I post all my stuff. Or of course, come and join the Discord. Just jump into my channel, do !smart Discord. You can get a link to it there too.
I got to tell you, as somebody on California time, the fact that you do have 2 stream times, super appreciative. I actually get a chance to watch your stream. And so like when that happens, I know it's not easy. That's a tough commitment to make. So I really do appreciate and respect the fact that things like that are available. So if you're in California or you're in New York, if you're in the States, there is a time you can watch Argick. It's possible. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time. I can't wait to see AGDQ coming up here in just a month or two, and a fun co-op run. I'm sure it's going to be. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having it, and I will catch you all later. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for listening, watching, viewing, liking, subscribing, and sharing. All of that stuff goes a long way to helping out the podcast. If you'd like any additional info, you can go to sequencebreakpodcast.com. All of our past episodes, everything's on there. You'll find everything there. If you'd like to watch live, follow the Sequence Break Twitter. That is Sequence Break PC, and you can join in, ask some questions, watch the whole thing live. It does happen. It's not really a set time, but I do post when I go live. Everything else, if you have any questions or anything like that, podcast at sequencebreakpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.